This is an incident from my school days. On one occasion, there was a function which was being organized in my school, and a famous political leader was invited to the function as the chief guest. The leader delivered quite an interesting speech, but in the course of his speech, he said, "Oh, I'm so excited to be here. I loved your company. I want to spend the entire day here with all of you today." While saying this time and again, he was looking at his wristwatch. I was confused. In his words, he said, "I want to spend the entire day. I'm not going to go anywhere else today." But his body language was different. He was looking at his watch again and again, indicating that he wants to go. Friends, maybe this is an example of hypocrisy. A hypocrite is one whose thoughts and words do not match. A hypocrite is one who thinks something but he says something else, or he says something but he does something else. Hypocrisy is one of the major deficiencies in human character. We will look at some of the characteristics and behaviors of hypocrites with examples. And we'll talk about how hypocrisy can become harmful to the hypocrite himself or herself and others that he or she deals with. And we'll talk about possible ways to overcome hypocrisy. So let's look at some examples. A political leader canvassing for votes in his constituency sometimes goes on hugging people, patting on their back, having sweet talks with them, but with a plastic smile. In all probability, he is a hypocrite. Another example can be a salesman trying to sell an inferior quality product to a potential buyer when he knows deep inside that he is trying to take the potential buyer for a ride. He's using his speaking skills, highlighting this as a superior quality product, which is actually an inferior quality product. Such a person is a hypocrite. If I act or pretend to love someone, but I don't have genuine love for that person in my heart, I am practicing hypocrisy. If you love somebody with an expectation, that is hypocrisy. Even if you expect love in return from that person. So if we love somebody with expectations, fulfillment of expectations becomes primary to us and the beloved becomes secondary. So obviously that is hypocrisy. Even if you pray to God with expectations, that is also hypocrisy. If one goes to one's workplace but does not give one's best efforts at the workplace, that is hypocrisy. If a teacher is not teaching his students properly in the school but is running private tuitions, his primary focus is doing private tuitions and he expects all the students to attend his private tuitions, he is actually practicing hypocrisy. If a doctor working in a government hospital not treating patients properly but expecting patients to come to his clinic for treatment, that is also hypocrisy. In the spiritual world, we also see hypocrites. There are many fake gurus who go on making many disciples under the disguise of spiritual practice. Many such fake gurus actually engage in immoral, illegal practices in the disguise of spiritual teachers. They pretend to be spiritual teachers, but they are actually hypocrites, pervert personalities. The list can go on. What are the consequences of being a hypocrite? A hypocrite destroys his life, destroys others' lives too. Sri Sri Thakur Anukul Chandra says, "Be not a hypocrite. Don't be deceived and don't deceive others." Hypocrite, while trying to deceive others, also gets deceived himself. There is a saying in English, you can fool some people sometime. You can fool some people all the time, but you cannot fool all the people all the time. Hypocrites lose their credibility very soon. They cannot go on deceiving others. People get to know about their true character, true colors. And when people get to know about their true character, they get deserted by people. They are not trusted by people anymore. We all know about the story of the village boy who used to take the cows from the village to the forest for grazing. The cows used to graze and come back in the evening. This village boy by the name Radhua one day wanted to have fun with the villagers. He went on top of a tree and shouted at the top of his voice, "O villagers, tigers have come and have attacked the cows. Please come and save the cows and save me." The villagers picked up any weapon they could lay their hands on, ran to the forest. To their utter surprise, they found that Radhua was sitting on top of the tree and was laughing. They realized that this boy has taken them for a ride. They got very angry and upset and went back to the village. A few days later, a tiger actually attacked the cows. Radhua went to the top of the tree, shouted at the top of his voice, "Oh villagers, a tiger has attacked the cows. Please come and save the cows. Save me." The villagers did not pay any attention to him because they believed that Radhua is trying to fool them again. This story tells us how hypocrites meet a miserable fate if they don't change their character. What causes hypocrisy? Why do people become hypocrites? One of the primary causes of hypocrisy is self centeredness. The primary motive of the hypocrites is fulfillment of their own self interests. To fulfill their interests, they deceive others. It can be to get money, power, influence. It could be to fulfill their sense pleasures, desires, etc. Let's look at another cause of being a hypocrite. If you stay in the company of hypocrites, there is a great possibility that you will become one yourself. Children who grow up in families where their parents are hypocrites, parents practice hypocrisy, demonstrate hypocrisy in their character all the time. These children grow up into hypocrites themselves. Sometimes parents and elders can do such harm to their children without even knowing about it. Hypocrisy is a disease of the mind. The mind of a hypocrite is polluted, poisoned. A mind with hypocrisy is filled with impurities. So, what is the solution to this problem? The only solution is to remove the impurities from the mind, purify the mind. Without that, it is extremely difficult to remove hypocrisy. Once hypocrisy becomes the second nature of a person, it becomes almost impossible to remove that. So, how can one purify one's mind? It is possible only when somebody sublimes his ego. But it's not easy to do that. Ego can be subdued only when one surrenders to somebody who is superior to him. Through surrender comes control of ego. Because surrendering to the master or guru means surrendering one's ego, selfishness, complexes, desires. Only when you surrender to a superior beloved, a master or guru, one's heart becomes calm, pure, and humble. Sister Thakur Ankul Chandra says, the mind becomes narrow when it moves to the narrow. When it moves to the expansive, it expands. So the most important thing for all of us is to look inside ourselves. I must look into myself and find out, am I sheltering hypocrisy within me? In my acts, deeds, words, behaviors, actions, am I practicing hypocrisy? That's the starting point. The key to removing hypocrisy from the mind, from the character, is self-analysis and self-correction. The moment I discover signs of hypocrisy within me, I must understand that my mind has been filled with impurities and I need to remove these impurities. A very powerful solution to remove the impurities is mantra. Mantra is man and tran. What saves the mind, purifies the mind, transforms the mind is mantra. When we practice chanting that mantra through the process of meditation, mind elevates. mind becomes broad. Mind starts shedding its impurities. Removing hypocrisy from the character, from the mind, is an extremely complex thing because once we practice hypocrisy, it becomes our second nature. It becomes an inextricable part of our character and personality. Detaching that from us becomes almost impossible. Only answer is surrender to the master or guru. Accept the mantra from him with love and devotion towards the guru, focusing and concentrating on the master himself. When we start practicing this mantra, our mind gets elevated. And with an elevated mind, we have realization within our mind. We have realization within us. And when we apply that realization, the new knowledge, in our day to day life, we start seeing change within ourselves. You know that for the last few episodes, we have been talking about deficiencies in human character. Today, we talked about hypocrisy. In the next episode, we'll talk about ingratitude, how it can harm us, and how we can overcome this. Thank you very much.